Hello, welcome to another video on the skeleton code for the AQA AS Computer Science Summer Exam of 2026. I've done some previous videos on this. The first one particularly, I spent some time going through the code and demonstrating the program. In the subsequent videos, I've gone and made some fixes to the program and some amendments to it. This is I think going to be the final video I'm going to make. Kind of grasping at straws with this one. It's not particularly a bug, but it is possible that the program, when in random mode, may not select as many spaces, as many tiles as it should do. So if I start the game now, I'm going to flip it into random mode by pressing 3, and I'm just going to play the game. So it has just removed one box at a time. Let's try it again. You're playing with random numbers. It's theoretically possible that the board wouldn't be completely full. Let's stick with that. Let's go play game. Oh, let's do that again. Start. Need to remember to toggle it to true. Start game. Yeah, it's just removed one box. It's theoretically possible that maybe with random numbers, you get several of these boxes missing. So what I wanted to do was introduce a little bit of code to ensure that the random number had actually selected 90% of the board. So I'm going to show you a fix for that. Like I say, it's an unlikely scenario, but it does demonstrate the method reset board and enables us to make some changes to it, which may be useful in the exam. So I'm going to go to reset board. Here it is. Okay, so reset board sets this string, which is an empty shell, until we actually define it as the height and the width of the values that have been put in. We then do a for loop, and then we have another for loop inside there. Now, if the random option is set to true, it will get a random tile, which is just below here, which selects a random number between 1 and 10. If it's less than 10, it returns a tile. If it's 10, then it's going to return no tile. So basically 90% of the tiles, sorry, 90% chance that there'll be a tile, 10% chance that there'll be no tile. So that's all very well. If the random, if it's random option, then it populates it with a random tile. If it's not a random option, then we're going to populate all the board with tiles. So we just go for the tile. So I'm going to just make sure that it does, in fact, return a valid board with a certain percentage filled in. So to start this, I'm going to set up a bool, which I'm going to call valid board. And I'm going to set it equal to false. Then I'm going to get percentage. I'm going to work out the total cells in the on the board, and I'm going to do that by multiplying the width by the height, which are global variables, of course. And I'm going to calculate a minimum amount of tiles that I want the board to have. And I'm going to calculate that as being equal to total cells multiplied by, oh, let's go for 0.9. Let's go for let's go for 0.9. Okay. So I'm now going to put these 4 conditions in a while loop. I'm going to say, whilst it's not a valid board, we're going to go into this while loop. Okay. And within that while loop, I'm going to calculate, I'm going to tot up the number of tiles that are created. Oops, tile count equal to 0. Need to define tile count, of course. Int tile count, semicolon at the end. Okay. Let's tap them in a bit. Get it lined up. Okay. And what I need to do is line up brackets. I've got one missing there. Okay. So we're going through the for loop. We're still going to check with the random option there. If it's a random option, we're going to get the random tile and populate the board row. Else, we're going to put a tile in it. Then at the end of that, I'm going to say if board row comma column is equal to a tile, I'm going to add 1 to the tile count. Oops. Okay. Spell board correctly. Okay. Right. So there we go. So it's going to go through, it's going to count the number of tiles as it's going along. Now, at this point, after the for loop, we're going to say if it's a random option, or the tile count is greater than or equal to the minimum number of tiles. Then I'm going to set the valid board equal to true. Okay, so if it's not the random option, or the tile count is greater or equal to the minimum tiles that was set up here, then we're going to set the valid board equal to true. That will mean that it will then break out of this while loop, and it will have populated the board. So let's test to see if that works just in general. So I'm going to set the board random option to true, and we'll start the game. Okay, so it's selected potentially 90% of the board. It seems to have done that correctly. What I'm going to do is just as a bit of a test, I am going to change this to greater than 9. Okay. Sorry, to less than 9. So that means 9 and 10. So this is 80% of the board. Oh, should we let's just see if this actually does select a board. Now I'm going to set it to 80%, and we've set this, of course, to 90%. So let's just see what happens. Well, 70% actually. So let's see what happens now. Set it to the random option. Start game. Okay, so it has managed to select a certain amount of board. Let's now just play with these figures here and set that to 70% and see if we get a lot less board tiles populated, and start game. Okay, there's no noticeable difference, but you can see that this is actually, you would probably only see it if we set the board to a larger size. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's go for 12 by 12. Set the random on. Start game. Okay. So there's a considerable number of tiles not populated there. Not going to count them. Let's set this minimum number of tiles to 90% again. See if it makes a difference. It should do. Okay. I think it's stuck in a loop. I think it's struggling to generate the number of tiles that are necessary for 90% because we've set the random number lower. So it's kind of, it is clutching at straws for possible changes to the program here. But what I've been able to demonstrate to you is the mechanism behind the reset board, and playing around with that, and also the random function here, get random tile. Okay, I'm going to set that back to 10, and hopefully this will now do its job. Set the board size. Oh, do that again. Set board size 12 by 12. Set the random option. Play the game. There we go. Straight away it's generated a board. So the random function on C# does seem to be working pretty well at producing an even spread of random numbers to generate this board. Hence why it got stuck when I set the threshold too low. That concludes the video, and hopefully it's well, not hopefully, I think this will be the last video. So if it is the last video, then all the best with your exams. I hope you do well, and I hope that these videos have been of use to you. All the best. Thank you. Bye.